Neal on the show because you're dropping the Method Makers podcast next week, and that's something that, like, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but there's a lot of work, a lot of hands, a lot of scheduling involved. Like, even just starting a show like this, it just mad respect for getting all those people together and putting that together is a lot of work.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And thank you also for all your help. I mean, that show would not be possible without you and, because you edited the whole thing. So yeah, yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about publishing a podcast for the Method Makers for like 3 years. And with life circumstance and all that kind of stuff happening, like it took a pandemic and a quarantine and shelter in place in order for the shit to actually happen. So it's actually perfect timing because like everybody's in their studio right now creating, or they're, just sheltering and trying to figure out like, what are they going to do next? And, like the perfect storm to get everybody digitally sitting down in front of a computer and talking, So I think for creatives, I speak for myself, and I think everyone else that's been on the show that they're using this as a great time to really focus on that. So it's been good.
Yeah, could we do a little intro here? Like tell us a little bit, kind of give us the background on Method Makers, or and all the things. This is my first time meeting you, and just kind of like give us the Wikipedia first paragraph.
So we make drugs and we sell.
No, the FBI already watches all my shit, so please, come on.
Guys, I want my mom to think this is real. This is legit.
Hey, Mom. It's legit. So let's see here. I will talk about Design Lab because that's like the most recent thing that's popping off, I guess, and how it's connected to the Method Makers. So Method Made Design Lab is where I'm at. Like what you see is what you get. Like the song. But yeah, so basically Method Made Design Lab is a culmination of, sounds like a lot, but it's like 41 plus years of work between myself and Remy, who's my partner, my wife, my soulmate. Her and I have both, over 2 decades of work, doing graphic design, running brands, working with artists, running art galleries and flying to the Philippines and doing graffiti tours. So it's all it's a culmination of all of these different things. And what we basically are doing is we're taking the Method Makers, which is a global community of artists, but very specific type of artist. And I'll explain in a minute what a Method Maker is. But we're basically taking the global community of artists known as the Method Makers, and fusing that with our consulting work. So the Design Lab is our multifunctional organization that focuses on art curation, brand consulting, and creative publishing. So right now, for our main, I would say that our main focus, really the thing that keeps the lights on, are the consulting work that we do. We're launching our new site with a gallery, like a virtual gallery show called TMMDL Social Distance. At first we were going to call it Social Distance, but like when you type in the hashtag social distance, you get like all these random things, we can't claim the hashtag. So TMMDL is the Method Made Design Lab. And so we just put the two together. It's a long fucking hashtag, but it is what it is, but it's the only one. Like if you type in TMMDLS, then like that's the first thing that pops up. So it's like, okay, well, we'll take that. So TMMDL.com evidently is going to be where you would find our consulting work. Method Made Design is the apparel, and all the apparel collaborations. The Method Makers and the methodmakers.com is the global community of artists. And then the podcast that we're doing, that we're launching next Wednesday, is essentially a platform for the quote unquote method makers to tell their stories. Why did they do art? What does creativity mean to them? Like what it like they're not going on the show and saying this is what a method maker is to me. They're just like talking about what their method made is. Like how are they actually doing their shit? So to define a method maker, after doing this work for 21 years, like you get to see the breadth and expansion of your life experience and then your creative experience. I say your, but I mean mine. My creative experience and like the just the shit that life throws at you, and then like understanding that there are many different types of people, just the same way that there are many different types of artists. And some artists create because they want to become famous, or they want like the glory or vanity or whatever. They want to be rich and powerful or whatever. But a method maker is beyond that. Like a method maker is actually somebody who's actually trying to have an impact on society, someone who is creative, someone who's using their superpower. Let's call them superheroes, right? So if the method makers are like the X-Men, then they're using their creative talents or their mutant superhuman strength to change the world, to have to make the world itself a better place. Sounds like a very ideological thing, and I know I probably sound like a hippie. It doesn't help that I'm burning incense in the background, got crystals in my pocket, and my hair is growing out, and I haven't shaved in like over a month. But it's all part of the aesthetic, baby. So, but yeah, like really, it's about cultivating this definition for like the type of individual that you want to be in this life, like the type of individuals we want to resonate and continue to build with, because we feel like if we connect ourselves to individuals like that, like everyone in the room starts fucking floating. Like there's just like some fucking cosmic shit that starts to happen. Like you ever kick it with someone, you're like, damn, your fucking aura is like glowing. Like that's some real shit. So imagine like being in a room full of people that are just like, ah! Like that's what it's kind of like. Not literally, but you feel it when you start talking to people. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, like we're trying to change the world one method at a time.
But I was actually pretty stoked to connect you guys, because I know we can't really talk too much about it, but like there had been method maker music had like come up in discussion between you and I, Neal, and like I feel like putting you in touch with people like Aaron that are actually in the scene in Austin. He's electronic producer, making beats like regularly, making tracks regularly, like that is just as important, for the method makers to be involved in too. The music is just as important as the art. Like whatever,
Yep.
it's there's you can't have one without the other, basically.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's a good point. So like I can't show you the map that we've drawn, but like we have an entire universe called the Method Makers universe. There's like Method Makers music, we have young method makers. There's like, if you ever listen to Handsome Boy Modeling School, the RZA talks about like it's like on a dating it's like one of those scenario like drop like tracks where it's like, handsome bachelor number one, what's your favorite, and like he says, and it's the RZA basically, right? And he goes, yo, for your perfect date, I would take you to Woo Chinese, because we deliver. And then we'll hit you up I'll pick you up in the Woo Mobile, brought to you by Chrysler. You know, like it sounds like that. I'm aware that like when I talk about Method Makers music, young Method Makers water, Method Makers wine, Method Makers alcoholic beverages, you know, it just sounds like a fucking industry. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But but like the thing is, the way that branding works is like you cultivate a culture and an image, and then people stand behind it, right? I mean, like everything that we've all learned, you don't have to go to fucking marketing school to know that like Nike's got dope fucking SB product lines. They got, you know, they have their running division, they have their basketball division, but it's all Nike, right? Like, so the method, why can't the Method Makers have its own shit too? You know, like it could be anything. It could be called anything. We could call it different shit if we wanted to, but then it's like, fuck, then we have to cultivate like a brand new name for like this and that. And then it's just like, let's just fucking call it what it is. All right. There's Method Makers music. There's young Method Makers. There's the Method Makers community. We have the design lab. Anyway, so Method Makers music is essentially like the same thing as the Method Makers. You know, like these are creators segmented by music. And the goal for Method Makers music, it's really in its early development stages. Like we have an Instagram page, we have like one employee that's running the account, lightweight. And you know, whenever we hear dope shit, like mainly we've been publishing it onto the community page on like the Method Maker, just the regular Method Makers page. We'll play a track on Spotify, and then we'll just let it play. Like you'll see the image of the track, and then you hear the music in the background, and that's it, right? What we want to do more of is connect with musicians, you know, musical artists, people who would fall into the genre of music. We're looking for like up and coming Method Maker artists that are in that genre, and we're looking for people that actually have like a message, you know, like it goes back to that same methodology. Like, why do you do art? Why do you do music? You know, what does music mean to you? Is it the same thing? Like, you know, there's a reason that like you connect with certain musicians a certain way. You guys have a vibe, you have a flow, you have like, you know, you make beautiful music together, right? Because it's like, you know, you guys create a symphony of like some kind of resonance that just like it jumps off the page, and then it goes into the mind of the people, and then like people are motivated by the shit that you do. It all translates into the same thing, right? Which is creativity and whatever. So that's what Method Makers music is to us. I'm just like one guy, and I don't have like $1 million in my bank account where I could just be like, yeah, here's some money, go fucking do that, like do what we're doing, but do it like for the music, right? So
Yeah,
you know, so we're
yeah.
slowly
I said,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
We'll get. You're getting there. We're getting there. No.
Yeah, so but you know, this is an organic process, just like everything, right? Like it took us 8 years to get to where we're at now, just for the Method Makers. Like we started in 2012, and it took that organic growth to get to where we're at. So I'm like a very, very patient person. Like when I say like 21 years to get to like all the experience up until now, like I'm hella fucking patient. Like if it took 21 years to get here, shit, like I could wait a little bit longer for some stuff, you know? And I'm trying to tell Jesse that too, because he's like, yo, you got to jump on this crypto shit, man. Like, fuck. Like, all right, I hear you, man. I hear you, you know? So, but you know, I also believe that like you do have to time shit, you know, because obviously if all of us invested in Amazon, you know, before the pandemic and before we knew that like, you know, software storage was going to be a thing, you know, like of course, like we would have fucking put money into that shit. But like I feel like strategically we all have to make the right moves, and I feel like the right partners need to be involved, and we have to all like match the same energy and make sure that, you know, we're all on the same page, that like everyone's clear about like what they're trying to do, you know what I mean? So like we have a lot of great ideas, we just don't have a lot of resources, and you know, that's going to take time to build, but I feel like we're on the right track, like, you know, organically doing shit never ever paying for advertising and just like word of mouth, like, reaching the right people, it's going to help us build, the community of people that we need to help push the message forward. So
Yeah, that's like super badass, man. Like everything that came out of your mouth there is like 100. I'm 100% on. Super inspiring stuff. Yeah, a lot of it, because so curious if you're familiar with the work of Seth Godin. Have you heard of this guy? Oh man, I think he'd be a real like, and it'd be like an inspiration to you, like in a motivating, like keep going, you're in the right track kind of thing. He's one of the bigger like writers in kind of the marketing space, just in general. But he just came out with a book called The Practice, and it's called Shipping Creative Work. And so the whole book is sort of about that, addressing a lot of like the issues, and basically is addressing the stories in our heads that we have about being a creative person and putting work out. Because it's ultimately like, you create work uh, for people, like you create it to make a difference. Otherwise, it's like, it's just for you, that's fine. But if you want to have something that affects people, like what are you trying to do, and finding your crowd and all of this stuff. But yeah, I think it connects a lot, because he takes a very approach, like, of everyone is an artist. Everyone, like whatever it is that you do, maybe like we just talked to one of Jesse's homies who, like, it's like he makes bags, but like it's about like a brand is almost an art piece, and I'm thinking about it because it's so many, like you were kind of describing what you're doing, and I was like, this is like the age of the multi-hyphenate. No one gets away with just doing one thing. All the musicians learn how to do some graphic design. All graphic designers learn how to do some music, and like everyone's cross mixing and trying to create like an ecosystem where we kind of just, because I think it's because resources are so low, we're all kind of forced to wear a lot of hats. But yeah, no, I think it's really important to be like connecting with that sort of deeper purpose of like, what are you really trying to do? What is driving you? What is like, are you working towards a vision? And I think for me, that's what's driving me. And that's sort of like what we're doing with this podcast. This one is kind of like, yeah, I want to work towards a vision of a future where, everything's built on creativity. Our economy is built on that. And it sounds like you're totally a kindred spirit. Like y'all are on there, and I have like a lot to learn from you guys, because you've been doing this for so long. So that's really cool.
I'll just want to go, Aaron. Once you catch the Method Maker wave, watch out, dude. There's gonna hold you in, and then you're in. It's like a wave.
You better get that wetsuit on. Get your surfboard. Get your snowboard. Whatever it is, man. You're about to go for a fucking what? Sorry, I've had coffee. So I like how that we're all in like different time zones too. Like I think it's like 3-2, 3-2-1. 3 and 2, and anyway, sorry. It's cool. We represent like each part of the US. So but yeah, man, like it's definitely I would say that like I get really metaphysical when it comes to like talking about my purpose and shit like that. Like I always say how, really it's not me that's saying and doing all the shit. Like it's really like someone up here, like just fucking like I'm just like, I'm an open, the top of my head's like got no fucking closure. It's just like a bunch of fucking spiritual shit like running through and just being like, say this, say this, say this, say this. And it's like, all right, I'll just keep saying it, and then and I'm just like a conduit, but like deep down inside in my heart, dude, like this feels like my second childhood, man. Like honestly, I wake up, I ride my bike, sometimes I go on an adventure, and we can talk more about what those adventures are later, and like just then I come back to the lab like super inspired, and I'm creating concepts. I'm like looking at content that we're going to use for social media. I'm thinking about the writing. I'm also a student with this program that Parsons and Complex are doing with this company called Yellow Brick. If you follow Method Made on Instagram, you'll see some of the work that I've been doing. I'm actually like really, really, really deeply studying these concepts because it it's helping me shape a lot of the consulting work that I'll be doing with artists and the brands that they're going to be starting, and also working with um, businesses that are trying to change, or at least not trying to change, but really get to the heart of what it is that they do business for. So, like for instance, we had our first client meeting. Design Lab started in September. Like we were probably founded in like September, October. I don't know. Um, we had our first client meeting last week, and man, it was a dope meeting, because like I got to say pretty much everything that I'm saying here. Like why do we even do what we do? Um, and it's dope because I can choose the type of people I want to work with. Um, like up front when we get an inquiry about consulting work, like we do brand consulting, we can do marketing, we could create an e-commerce website for you, we can get murals painted by some of the dopest artists in the world, like whatever you want, you know. But that's not what we specialize in. What we specialize in is getting to the heart of why the fuck do you do what you do. Like when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like those are some of the questions that I ask like CEOs of companies, right? And this company that I can't say yet who we're doing the consulting work with, um, her mom was a failed entrepreneur. Like many times over, she tried to start her own businesses, failed every single time. Her mom has since passed, but as an homage to her mom, she's created a successful business that's in a niche category of its own for interior designers and home builders that nobody else is doing what she's doing. And she's been doing it for 5 years, and they're trying to figure out their identity. On top of that, like she's doing all this fucking pro bono work. Like we've had mutual friends, relatives that have passed away. And like one really sad story is like our really good friend TJ, uh, he's 35 years old. His son just turned 2, and he died of a heart attack the next day. And
Oh,
so he's got two kids, right? And the wife is just like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And so she goes there like a month later, a couple weeks later, and says, hey, like I wanna give you my time for free. Like I'm gonna help you redesign the inside of your home so like it's less cluttered, give you like so anyway, like she's doing that shit for free. And I'm inspired by people like that. Like you can already tell like she's got a heart. Like the CEO of this company has a heart, and those are the type of businesses that we want to work with, right? Now you could be a company like I got the second inquiry from LinkedIn. I have a meeting set up next week. um and I won't even tell you the industry because that person, if they listen to this, they're going to be like, hey, what are you talking about my brand, yo? But like,
dude, because we got
this
hella
person,
listeners, Neil.
you got hella listeners, bro.
Yeah.
You never know. Be careful what you wish for. You're sarcastic about, because shit like, like, because up here those guys are listening too. You know what I mean? Like, like, oh, Jesse, oh, he wants more listeners. So, but yeah, so this other person's business is like, nothing like that. Like almost like to the T corporate, whatever, like almost like you look at the business and it's like, where do you find the heart in that? And so in my inquiry emails, I always say, we are an organization focused on finding what's at the heart of your organization and then seeing what kind of social change initiatives you're really passionate about. Can you tell us a few things? Like, maybe you're the company that is creating the God, what's like a really far-fetched thing? You're creating an app for people to pick up their recycling from their house, like and you need to get it scheduled because it overflows your garbage can or whatever, right? Like that's your business. How do you get to the heart of something like that? Like, well, evidently the CEO of this company, when he was a kid, he idolized garbage pickup men, you know, and he always thought like, wow, like I want to do that when I'm a kid, but I want to, when I grow up, I want to be that. But I always got ridiculed as a kid, and I thought like, oh, that's a dream that I don't want to do. And so now like I'm going back, and I've created this app to help people with their trash recycling things, and also proceeds from my company go to this, right? So like there's these layers that we have to uncover. Like, yeah, like he might be the fucking number one app that does that, millionaire or beyond whatever because of this, but like why? You know, so
Mhm.
that's what we're trying to do. Like we're fucking diving deep. Like we're just, you know, I could throw down so many fucking analogies and it just take forever to say what I'm trying to say, but hopefully
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, that sounds super awesome. I think it's really important to for like just to ask the questions. I think a lot of people don't ask the questions, and I think it's really brave of y'all to really like, you know, we choose our clients, like to say that and live by that, you know, because I think a lot of us, especially creatives and you know, when things are scarce, it's really easy to just kind of be like, I'm doing gigs for whatever, whoever, like for the cheapest price, like just giving gigs. I just need the money and whatever. And you kind of like it may pay off every now and then, but as a habit that always sends you down a wrong road. And so it's good that you guys like can stick by your guns and really just like kind of commit to that. um I kind of want to splinter off here and go down and maybe we can get a little deep. I'm curious about your spiritual practice. Like what is it, you know, like what is it influenced by? Like maybe how did it start, and like what, like how does it interplay into your process or your method, as you would.
I like it. I was trying to figure out if I was gonna say a dad joke that was really corny or like tell the truth. So I guess I'll just tell the truth. Because right before that, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, um, I'm not gonna discount the fact that you do have to suck dick for coke sometimes. Like Bob Saget would say, in Half Baked. But like, but yeah, sometimes you gotta fucking do the dirty work, man. Like I've done a lot of dirty work. Like, you know, some of the consulting work I'm doing right now is pro bono because the artists that we're working with just can't, you know, they can't even afford rent. But like, yeah, sometimes you gotta you do like, don't discount the fact that like you might have to fucking do some Uber pickup shit. Like, you know, like you might have to fucking, you know, like it's all part of the grind. But when you get to a point where it's like, man, I've done enough of that stuff already, and like I'm at a point where I have the opportunity to choose. Like if when you can choose the work, choose it, because
Mhm.
that's going to be the most beneficial. Because the thing you'll never get back is your time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I talk about being patient and like, man, this shit taken 2 decades to do, but like, you know, now time is even more and more precious, right? Because I don't know how much more time I have to live, right? So anyway, uh, spiritual practice. Um, Vipassana changed my life. Um, Jesse knows what Vipassana is. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Aaron, about Vipassana. Um, should I explain to the listeners? If
Yeah, we could give like a brief little thing about Vipassana, but yeah, I've definitely been on a retreat before. So yeah, I'd like to
sick.
hear what you think about it though. Yeah, or how you describe it.
So Vipassana, I will explain it as dramatically as possible so that people will be like, no fucking way. Yeah, way, bro. So Vipassana is 100 hours of meditation, like the first retreat you ever do. It's 100 hours of meditation over an 11-day period. The first day being like your check-in and all that. But for 10 days straight, you meditate for 10 hours, not 10 hours straight, but 10 hours a day. And you cannot look at anybody, you cannot talk to anybody. You're basically there with yourself and your mind, and you're trying to disconnect the attachments that your emotions have to your mind, and you're trying to commit mental surgery to yourself, and you you do not leave until your surgery is done, because if you can imagine laying on a on a table in the operating room, and halfway through the heart surgery, you get up and you're like, nah, I'm good. Like, like that's not cool. Like, you got to be careful, right? But it is hard. Like, I mean, it's not as dramatic as doing heart surgery, but like, um, it is hard. You know, like I was in a group of 29 people, 29 guys. They separated the men and women, and like 3, 5, 6 days through, like people would leave. You know, and everyone that made it out, uh, by the time we could actually talk to everybody on the 10th or the 11th day, we were all like talking, like everyone's like, man, I thought you were an asshole because like you never looked at me, and like, no, I can't look at you, you know. And like everyone had all these things, and like some guy was like, yeah, like I lived in the woods for 3 months by myself, and I thought that was hard. This is the hardest thing I ever had to do, you know. And then like one guy was like, man, right before this I was about to kill my wife's, or I was about to kill my best friend because she cheated on me with him, and someone told me like I should go to this thing because it will help. And man, like now I just want to go there and hug them. I haven't talked to the guy yet. Maybe he fucking killed them, I don't know. But like but he said like, you know, like now I just feel like free, you know. Everyone's experience is different, and I know I'm like totally advertising for Vipassana, and I very well should, because like it's free, dude. Like, I mean, it's donation based, you know, like
Mhm.
they feed you, they give you a place to sleep. You can go to a center anywhere in the world, and like they provide this as a free tool for people to learn. Like I wasn't a really good meditator before this, and then I went, and then I, you know, and it changed my life, man. Was that your experience? Was your experience similar, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I had been meditating a bit before it, and like, yeah, I'm definitely influenced by a lot of different styles of meditation, and Vipassana is one in the arsenal of different kind of techniques that I play with, like while I'm sitting. But yeah, it was definitely super profound, and it's really really intense. I mean, that blows my mind. The guy that guy stuck through it, you know, with like something that intense, you know, in your mind, just replaying over and over, you know, because you can't get anywhere. It's just, if something's bugging you about your life, when you're sitting there in Vipassana, it's just going to come up and it's not going to go away, you know, and you're going to have to just deal with it. But yeah, I mean, I've been wanting, I've been wanting to do another one soon. You know, obviously COVID put a rock in that, but yeah, I've been wanting to get back into it. Vipassana is really, really, really a very, I don't even know how to just, yeah, it's such a crazy experience to go through that. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
man, I still
I
come,
mean,
or I was just gonna say, like, I still
I
come
was
back
gonna
to it,
say,
you know, yeah, like it's like every day, every moment, you know, that just the being able to step outside of what's going on and just kind of into the bodily sensations of what you're experiencing is such a useful tool. And I feel like I'm only a year later, you know, maybe 2 years, a year later, I'm still like, oh yeah, every day I'm applying it. Like, yeah, that's just like Vipassana. That's just like, remember that, you know, it's
yeah.
really cool.
Uh, yeah. So I take Vipassana as part of the spiritual practice. I've like even incorporated some of that like in this course that I'm taking right now. SN Goenka, who's like the guy that carried the message of the Dhamma West. He's on my mood board. Like he's like his thing is there for like the brand that I'm trying to start. But like I've incorporated that into even the practice of what the method makers is. You know, Dhamma is very much like something that I try to emanate in terms of like, you know, the artists that we work with. I tried like the depth of meaning and things like that. That's all incorporated. Um, but other parts of spiritual practice, I would say, are um, really trying to stay present. I don't know if you consider that spiritual, but like to me, I feel like just like being present with the people that you're with, being present with the things that you're doing, staying in those moments, they're very helpful. um I was telling Jesse, like, I haven't smoked weed since October of last year. I did it as at first, like, as a way to keep myself healthy, because I noticed, like, every time I would smoke, and I usually did it socially, but like I got really really sick after the last time, and I said, you know what, I'm probably just gonna lay off of it, and I just never got back to it. And then I did a 3-day Vipassana retreat here at home, actually, like in July, I think. And I quarantined myself inside the room for 36 hours. Like, I just, my wife was gracious enough to be able to take care of our daughter and allow me to just stay in the room. And then I had stacked like a bunch of these vegetarian TV dinner meals, so that way I could just heat it up in the microwave. We had a schedule where she wouldn't see me and I wouldn't see her or my daughter. So for 3 days, like, I locked myself in, and like, dude, that just like, it changed my world, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I became like a lot more appreciative. And I think, like, to be honest with you, Design Lab, what we're doing with the podcast, us having this conversation, like, none of that would have taken place if I didn't do that. Because after that, like, dude, I just went on a fucking rampage and just like cleared out the house, like, turned the garage into a studio. I started hitting up artists and like started posting more shit on social media. Like, if you go to like the Method Makers Instagram page, like, we have contributors from different parts of the world, but they're not consistent. Like, the work that goes into the Instagram page, a lot of it is me, right? And so if you look at the time before I did that 3-day retreat, like, there might have been one post one day in May, and then like once in April or whatever. Like, it was very sporadic. And then, like, boom, I did that meditation. It's like, oh fuck, like, I'm inspired. And like, anyway, so like, um it really had an effect on me. I do.
Yeah.
I will say the other thing is, I have these 5 a.m. West Coast 5 a.m. meditations with Akira, my boy Bruno, and the homie Don in New York. And Jesse's been on one of those too. I call it the eyewitnesses meditation, because Akira has this project where he does sketches from the subconscious. Like, they'll do a meditation for 20 minutes, and then they have a discussion. We have a discussion, and then we sketch. Um, so waking up and doing that first thing in the morning, or riding my bike, like, um, it gets the juices flowing, and it also like helps to bring this level of uh, clarity. And like, any of the shit that I might have been ruminating about the day before, it's almost like therapy. Like, really, like, we call ourselves like the cosmic support group, because like, we talk about really deep shit. And like, like, I love all my friends that like I grew up with. And this is no disrespect to them, but like, you know um I realize that, like, we don't spend a lot of time, because like, well, one, the pandemic, but two, like, if I wanted to talk to them about, like, I don't know, dude, like my emotions or something, it would just be like, nah, man, let's talk about like Jordans or something, like, okay. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, you find the people you resonate with, and you kind of like attract to that, right? So I will say, like, that's definitely part of my spiritual practice, is like staying connected to people that like have the same frequency. You know what I mean? Um, that's pretty much it. And I just try to stay healthy. I'm a vegan too. Um, and what
How long have you
else?
been vegan for, Neil?
It's only been a few months since that meditation. Like,
Oh, okay,
since
okay. Because I know
since
you've gone like back and forth with vegetarian and vegan stuff, and then
yeah, I
meat.
became vegetarian after the first Vipassana that I did, which was like in
Uh-huh.
2014. Um, but yeah, then I became vegan after that that 3-day, because I started to think more about the other energy stuff that's associated with the food you eat and all that. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
don't get me on too much stuff. Like, I might
Yeah.
like like the show might go hella fucking long, and you're just gonna be like, oh man, I gotta go do my laundry. Like my mom's calling me, and like my girlfriend wants me to fucking go out. I'm like, Neil's still fucking talking.
Man,
No,
that's
it's
that's some
great, dude.
beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jesse?
Oh, just I think these calls are very therapeutic in a way. I mean, the show I think for Aaron and I has been super positive, and then the calls like with you and Akira are rad. You know, only the couple that I've tried to tune into, but like so healing. And every time I end one of these, I'm always in a good mood or feel like something got communicated that was important or whatever, you know, needed to be said.
Yeah.
And I like to cross promote cool people like what the Method Makers are doing and what Neal's, you know, just been a homie for, I don't know, a better part of 7 or 8 years now. I mean, it's time's flying. It's crazy how fast it's going.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm super inspired by that. I'm just, my brain's boiling now. I'm like, man, maybe New Year's, maybe like when New Year's hits, I'm gonna do a 3-day. Like I'm about to be moving into a new place at the end of this month, and so like maybe that could be a cool thing. Just like set my room and just like go deep. Like I guess I'd have to keep my books out of it. How did you set up your room? That's like you like no media in your room. Did you black out the things or anything like that?
So our the our master bedroom is like there's no TV in it. We only have like 3 books in that room. Like we purposely don't have anything in the room anyway. But
Okay.
for the purpose of the meditation, you can download and I could send it to you. If you send me an email, I could send you the link. But there's an actual app. The Dhamma organization has a Vipassana app. If you're an old student, you just have to use the old student username and password that they give you at the end of the course. If you don't have it, I can give it to you too. But they have courses on there for you to administer Vipassana for yourself, like a 3-day.
Wow.
And it gives you instructions. And they recognize that because of COVID-19, like they had to shut down all the centers. I think a few of them may have opened back up depending on where it's at, but because of that, though, they've allowed people to do it themselves, and you can find a 3-day curriculum or even a 10-day. What I would recommend though is if you're going into a new place, this is something that I actually practiced, um, and was actually something I thought I was gonna do before starting Design Lab. So, you know how like Vipassana is like this is like monitoring the sensations in your body, right? I took it a step further during my meditation where I sat in the corner. So like my meditation spot is at the very back right corner, or if you're facing the house, the very left corner of the house. And uh what I started to do was take the sensations I was feeling from my mind all the way down to my toes, and I was reverberating that energy directly into the house. And I was doing Vipassana on the house, if that makes any sense. And I was actually feeling for where the energy spots were to see where the blockages were, right? So I thought I was actually going to do energy healing for spaces. Like I thought that like my path was going to be doing it via a Zoom call, right? Like let's say like you're at your spot and I'm at my spot and we're like sitting down and doing meditation together. And then like you've given me like a layout of your house, and as we're doing meditation, like I'm metaphysically putting myself in your space, and then I'm like feeling out where the energy is, and then like on the blueprint, like I'm saying, okay, circle this, like you need to put the cures here and here. So I was going to take like um a feng shui course and try to do this consulting work virtually for people and do it for free to start, and then figure out like what my price point was going to be. In some respects, in some aspects, that's still my path. Like I'm actually going to do that, but it's going to be after Design Lab is established, after the Method Makers community is up and running, and we get enough people to actually like help us like run by itself. Um, but I would suggest like try that. Like if you end up and see what happens. I don't know. Like if you're gonna move, especially if you're moving into a new place, um, burn a little sage, like clear the room, and then put your stuff in a way that will feel like the most energetically flowing to you, because I really do feel that like the space that you surround yourself with has a way of providing you the kind of energy that you need. And it's true, right? Like if you have a fucking a floor full of laundry, like I'm looking around, do I have laundry here? No. Like you have a floor full of laundry and like, you know, you're trying to get out the door because like you have a really important meeting and you trip over like a pair of socks and like a belt and like, you know, your cat, I don't know, like then like it's gonna fuck you up, right? So like if your shit's clear, then it's like anyway, so I really feel that like that's something that I would like to do. And I would say like if you do plan to do Vipassana, maybe like think about the energy of your space, maybe read a short guide on like how to do feng shui, and it could be helpful.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a few other kind of people in this space. I think it's related to like Dzogchen. Do you know anything about Dzogchen?
No.
So Dzogchen is sort of
Yeah.
do do you know about that too, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an adjacent form of meditation that was started in Tibet. And it's sort of a more mystically type version, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But a lot of it is based on like kind of, you know, for one, you sort of expand out from just your body. So you kind of, you know, start to feel like, you know, you're really trying to observe what the subjective experience looks like. And so, you know, you kind of get these sensations because, you know, like when you really focus on your bodily sensations, you sort of lose shape of your body. Like your body starts to just be just this mishmash of sensations going around. There's no locality. You know, I've had the experience of feeling like my head is simultaneously like 10 feet in the air, but also like right above, like 2 inches above my feet, you know, and it's just this weird sensation.
Holy shit.
And yeah, it's it's crazy. And what a lot of people talk about with Dzogchen is like the first practice would be something like, you know, especially if you're good at like already well versed in kind of more traditional mindfulness based techniques, is try to see yourself, like open your eyes or even with closed eyes and just try to see your own head. And in that space of there being nothing there, you just kind of, that's like your starting point, but that's like that's the space that you move from. And so it's interesting though, because you can kind of move past that into just this like space of feeling the energy. You're feeling the noises that are occurring all around you in the space, and then you kind of feel how it all connects to you emotionally and stuff. So that's a really interesting yeah, that's a really interesting practice that I might try out, especially when connecting with a new space.
Yeah. Dzogchen, that's interesting. I've never heard of it, but I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'll send you I'll try to send a link to something. I first heard about it through Sam Harris and through a guy called Locke Kelly. But, yeah, for me, they're right up there with Goenka. It's very, very cool stuff.
I like how everybody is sharing their like different techniques and styles and approaches to spirituality, because I always think that's like a super important part to remember, that it's like you're doing it for yourself. So it honestly doesn't matter what it looks like, or doesn't have to look a certain way, you know, necessarily. But taking that time, if it's 3 days or whatever, you know, spend on yourself, detox, or, you know, even detox just from the computer and the phone, you know, or do a vision quest, or like, you know, like it doesn't have to necessarily be like Goenka sitting every, you know, for a certain amount of time. Like if that's what works for you, like rad. But if other things like, you know, taking a hot bath and like eating some mushrooms and just, you know, contemplating reality for a day, like that to me, I think is just as valuable, or it can be if you use it correctly. You know, like Jay Electronica is one of my favorite hip hop artists. This line that's just like, go home for 3 days, fast and reflect. And it's just like, it's super simple, but like the amount of, even if you make it halfway through that, the amount of wisdom that comes to you is like, it is unreal. And just talk about a perspective shift too. Like, even us talking about this is like, I want to go on my own vision quest now. I'm like, I need to get back on this level. Like, this is so cool.
I know. I feel like doing mushrooms now. It's been a while since I've shroomed, man, and I actually think that would be one thing that I would probably do at some point soon. You know, if I had to choose between like smoking again or doing something, like I think tripping out on shrooms would be pretty dope. Because I'd love to see like what would come out of it, and even ayahuasca, like the things that I've heard about, you know, people who've gone on trips. Um, you know, so anyway, we can get off on a further tangent about that if you'd like. But yeah, I mean, that'd be
I
dope.
think there's something really important too, like, so a bigger part of sort of my practice and sort of a reason for why mindfulness is really important is so I started getting into this thing called transurfing. I don't know if either of y'all have ever heard of it. But it's sort of its own weird kind of philosophy. It's in sort of the law of attraction space, new thought kind of space. But he kind of talks about, it's written by this guy named Vadim Zeland, and he talks about how basically there are these pendulums that are swinging. He calls them energy pendulums. And I think of these like in terms of like ideas, you know, thoughts. Like, so for instance, being an American is a pendulum. Being, you know, like having a job or thinking that you need to get a job. Money is a pendulum. Politics, all the, you know, a certain politician or a concept. These are all just pendulums that are just kind of vying for your attention. They're like, and they all have wave frequencies. And the thing about it is, if you don't pay attention, they all they want, they're like are impersonal, but all they want is to take your energy. And so if you're not paying attention, these pendulums will swoop in and they'll get you sucked up. It's kind of like the thing of you know, when you get onto Facebook and like you maybe went on to check something or send a message to someone or just check an event page or something, but then before you know it, you're already scrolling down and you're like caught up in the drama of what's on Facebook, or you see two people get, you know, and it's just like the bigger a pendulum gets, the more it just kind of absorbs your energy. And so what you have to like, and I guess the premise of transurfing is that you don't manifest. What you do is you move yourself onto the correct lifeline. You try to say like, what is it that I really want, and how do I live as that now? And then you direct course, like almost like you are surfing. You're not like making the waves do anything. You're trying to find the right wave and surf your way through. And so I think that's where a lot of the importance comes from for being mindful, is like catching these pendulums and making sure that they don't rip you away and take you into places that you don't really want to go. And it's super important, especially as a creative and someone who's trying to innovate and do something new, to like really monitor like, what are your thoughts, what's going on in your body, you know, what is affecting you. And I think, yeah, like having that background in Vipassana is like a huge step forward in that. And I think it's really important that everybody at least try some form of mindfulness practice. You know, it doesn't have to be sitting, but I think that, yeah, it's really invaluable.
Yeah, I think that I 100% agree with you that mindfulness is very important. I also feel that radical acceptance is very, very, very key. If you haven't listened to or read any of the books by Tara Brach, she's she's got this podcast. She does like meditations or whatever. I haven't even finished the book yet. But like,
it's so funny. Okay, go on.
Do you?
The story? Yeah. I've worked with her, and I cannot work with her ever again. I'm banned from working with Tara Brach. I swear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For real? Wait, you gotta. Please, I want to hear this. This is more important.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like a like weekend class in New York at Omega or whatever, and I'm looking forward to this. I heard a lot of good things. Her books are very popular, you know, and she's a really sweet lady. But she has her sister with her, who's like the real pit bull, you know, like she's like like, so Tara Brach can just be super sweet, but this lady gets like everything done, you know. And it's like right at the end of a session, right before lunch or something like that. And man, I gotta pee. Like, and I'm gonna pee myself as an adult if I don't pee right now. Like, I could not make it through. So I ran out, went to the bathroom, and came back. And she had a meditation going with like the track playing. And all she wanted me to do is like, when she gave me the signal, bring down the volume. But she looked up and was giving me the signal when I was in the bathroom, you know? And
Oh
dude, I
shit.
came back in and she's like doing this, giving me the signal, you know? So I pull the volume down. I don't think anybody else in the room noticed, you know, because they're all in their zone. But her sister was so upset. That was like, following here, they're like, anybody but Jesse to work with us.
Oh
Like,
my god.
yeah, and even my manager was like, yo, dude, like, you know, you don't usually fuck up this bad.
Jeez. Oh my god. That's fucked up, dude. Did you tell her
Well,
that you had to
not this, it's the sister.
Yeah.
No. I
Did
mean,
you
you know what? It's all good. I bet we'd all laugh about it now, but that's a true story. Like,
It just shows that you're too into your earthly incarnation. You're not spiritual enough. Because if you were, you would have just, you know, just peed yourself, man.
I guess so, dude.
Oh man. Dude. Yeah. Anyway, that's fucking hilarious. Someday we gotta get the Pitbull on the show though.
Oh man.
Straight up.
Make amends, and then like you get promoted to like her assistant or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like I would say radical acceptance to your challenges in life are definitely, I mean, it's just like the book's title, right? Like the more you resist, you know, the harder it is for you to maneuver. Like you know, you're constantly fighting the things that change in life. Like the only permanent thing in life is the law of impermanence, really, right? Like nothing fucking lasts forever at all. And so we all have this issue of like trying to hold on to who we think we are, who we know that we are, like the ego that like has built up this thing for like, you know, like sometimes you do need your ego, oftentimes you don't. Really like take ego away from the equation and then just like give yourself credit for your life experience, as opposed to like saying, nah man, like I've been doing this shit for 20 years, like I'm better than that. Like nah dude, like I'm always a fucking student. Like the more and more that I think that like I deserve credibility for all the work that I've done and blah 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 this and that, like the more that like my ego gets hurt, you know, like to this day, like, and I'll even talk openly about it, like there is a group, a person, actually a group because there's two of them. There are people who don't give me credit for some of the work that I've done to help establish another group. And every time I think about how much like it hurts to not have credit for some of the work that was done, and you know, it's like, man, I'm the one that fucking gave you guys the name, and I'm the one that this and that, like you know, like I sit back and I think, it's been weeks now that I've been thinking about it, and you know, the more and more I let this fucking settle and let it like start to slide off like bullshit that's on your shoulder, and just like, you know, go and brush your shoulders off thing, like how Jay-Z says it, like man, like it's nice to fucking brush your shoulders off, because it's really like I wipe my hands clean of my ego, and it's like shit. Then I actually lift my head up and I'm like, yo, I'm on a podcast with Aaron and Jesse, and we're talking about dope shit, and I'm in the fucking lab during a quarantine working on like my life's work, and I'm living my second childhood. Like, why the fuck am I gonna let like some fucking bitter motherfuckers like affect me? You know, like like I really don't need to. You know, like because like if I let that shit rule my world, man, like I'm never gonna transcend. You know, like none of us will. You know, and we're not gonna make the world a better place by being bitter. We make the world a better place because like we've been through some shit and we learn how to deal with it, and like we teach others how to do the same. You know, so
Dude, that resonates super hard with me right now, because you know, it's like I've been going through, you know, the reason I'm moving is because, you know, going through some issues with my roommates and stuff, and so there's a lot of emotions going on and everything's really tense. And I think, you know, an alternate like way to view exactly what you're saying is like with transurfing, like the only way you can beat pendulums, there are only two ways. One is like you do something that is completely unexpected, but you can only do this for small pendulums. Like the classic case is like someone trying to start a fight with you, and you know, so or someone trying to mug you or something like that on the street. And if you say something that makes no sense, like give me all your money, and you're like, I didn't close the gate this morning, or something like that. Just they won't know what to do, and you'll completely stop them, and it's a thing that you can see, and I'm sure it takes practice, like be careful, but like there are people, like there are hypnotherapists or hypnotists and stuff, and people who can do this kind of thing, and they say that it works. But for bigger ones, say cultural things or like emotions, like you can't just go against it, So what he says is like, the only thing you can do is recognize it and let it pass, and realize that this is just a pendulum that's trying to take your energy. And if you just sort of ignore it, you're just going, oh, hello, pendulum. And then it kind of waves through you. That energy actually ends up feeding you and making you stronger. So it's like, yeah, when you have these like, man, I'm really pissed off about this thing that this person did to me, it's like, okay, recognize it, which is that cue, like that we learned from, mindfulness, and then be like, oh, okay, this is just a pendulum. This is just a thing, and it's trying to suck my energy out. And I just need to like ignore it. Just be like, okay, thank you. I realize this is an emotional part of me. I recognize you. I see you, but I'm not going to act on it. I'm going to let you just sit there, and then it's going to pass. And just like you're saying, like smooth like that. I'm gonna use that one too. Like next time I get a really like, I'm ruminating on shit, just like, all right, just let
it. You got to do it slowly.
Slow, yeah.
And then like when someone walks in on you in the bathroom and you're in the mirror like going like this, they're gonna be like, Aaron, are you all right? Yeah. I'm just slowly go on.
The slowly is key. Well, the slowly is key because it doesn't go fast. You're like, I mean, That's the trick. You'll be like meditating. You're like, cool, I'm feeling my emotions. They're not going away. I'm feeling my, like, it's like, no, you just got to be cool with them just chilling out all day. Like, that's the thing about like what you're saying about impermanence is like that was, I think, one of my biggest takeaways from the first Vipassana, because, when you're on day like 7 or 8 and you're starting to get a sense for it, like there are moments when you're sitting there, you're like, I've been sitting here for forever. Has it only, like, it can't have just been an hour. Like we've been sitting here for like 4 hours, man. Like, when is this gonna end? And and once you start getting to the end, you start realizing that no matter how shitty or good, because certain sits felt amazing, just, I'm having these realizations, or like having these, feel like these breakthroughs, but all of those sessions ended, the bell came, and it's just like, no matter how bad a situation is or how good a situation is, it all ends. And it's just like, you just surrender, like you're saying, accept what's coming, surrender, and just go along for the ride,
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's important to remember that, like I think that resistance is really difficult when it comes to life and trying to control things, like whenever we try to control like our world, there are certain things that you have to be able to control, like your pee, or like
or not a true master.
Like your temper, you got to control your temper, like you have to, like, it's important to be mindful, right? That's what mindfulness is about. But yeah, like nothing lasts forever, and that's what's helped me like become a lot more patient. I have a 4-year-old at home, and when she was 3, she was a 3-nager. Now she's like a 4-nager, 3 teenager. Like she's fucking. It's hard, dude. Like in the shelter in place, and like there's no like she was in Montessori school, and it was really, really difficult when we had to bring her home. And it's still difficult because like she needs a lot of attention, and like online learning just does not work for kids at that age. So I try to remind myself, and I try to remind my wife too, like, hey, this is not going to last forever. I mean, if anything, like we're really lucky because like my mom, I asked her, like, was it as difficult for you like with me growing up? And bro, she like did not have it as difficult at all. Like literally she, not to say that she didn't work hard or that she didn't raise me right, but man, like she woke up, got me ready and got her ready, dropped me off to daycare after like only being with me for like 2 or 3 hours, went to work, came back at 1 o'clock in the morning because she worked the night shift. And my dad would pick me up from daycare. And as soon as I was old enough to ride my bike, I was just outside playing. Like, so my parents didn't really like have what kind of shit like we're going through. Like, I gotta be like, in fact, I gotta leave like in the next 15 minutes, like to be there when she wakes up so I could help my wife with her bathroom stuff and feeding her. Like I have daycare duty from like, 8:15 to like 1:30 in the afternoon, and then she takes a nap. Then I have my time to do my work and stuff. But like, and then when she wakes up, either myself or my wife have to do that. So like we had to learn how to incorporate daycare into like our work and life schedule, where my parents just like went to work. They maybe like had me for like 2 or 3 hours of a tantrum, and then like they just fucking dropped me off, and then the babysitter would tell them about all my tantrums, and then like anyway. So all I'm saying is like it's fucking difficult right now, but like just like the law of impermanent states, nothing lasts forever. The Spanish flu came and went, right? And at that time, like fuck, that was 100 years ago. They probably didn't even have like penicillin. In fact, I think I listened to your guys' episode before having this talk. I got to like I think the first 45 minutes or something. You guys were going on your conversation about like the Spanish flu. There was no penicillin. Like I was on my bike, like listening to this, like, oh shit, that's true. And then it started to make me think also about like how I think about COVID. And like COVID's very fucking real. Like I've lost an uncle to COVID. And the fucked up thing is like both my aunt and my uncle who lived in the same house had COVID. My aunt was asymptomatic and he fucking died. So they lived in the same house and she basically watched him like wither away. And they don't know like where it came from. Like if they think that it might have been like when they had landscapers over at the house, like my uncle was out there in the garden with the landscaping folks and didn't have a mask on, so we don't know like exactly where it came from. But like anyway, the point is that like this shit is not going to last forever, and like it may not even last as long as the Spanish flu, because like now we actually have technology, we have like research, we have like you know people like in labs that are actually doing shit like and I think you guys were talking about how like at that time they would just like realize like, oh shit, like we need to wear gloves and we're fucking doing surgery or something. And like they realize like actually washing hands is a good practice, because like we might be like transfusing blood from one person to another, like oh shit, maybe that's why the fucking plague wiped out so many people, because like they didn't know that like you had to actually wash your hands, not burn them with fire. I don't know what the fuck they did. So but yeah, anyway, like just like the problems that I'm having with my daughter's behavior, and the issues we're having with isolating ourselves, like none of this shit's gonna last forever. And so what I take from that is like, I told Jesse this too, like, bro, give us 3 years. Like, give us 3 years to like really fucking work on the shit that we're working on, because we're never gonna have time like this. Like, we're never gonna have time where we're stuck isolated in a place. Like literally, like all of us are doing Vipassana. Like this is a fucking test. Like this is a test for like yo, what the fuck are you gonna do with your time? You're gonna either go on Netflix, binge and fucking like eat, and that's fine for a little bit, but then at some point you're gonna have to get up. At some point you're gonna have to look back at your life and say, what the fuck did I do in the quarantine? Oh dude, I was on Pornhub for like you know what I mean? Like
marathons at 3 days straight.
like, hey, what are you doing, man? Oh, dude, my right arm's so tired right now. I don't know. Like, I'm so tired. And dude, my right hand's like it's so smooth. Anyway, like, so, like you look back at this experience, right? Like this is a very pivotal time, like what kind of shit were you actually doing? And like, I'm taking a fucking streetwear course that Parsons and Complex is administering. I'm doing a podcast. I'm on podcasts with you guys. Like Jesse and I are fucking building. Like Aaron and I are about to fucking like talk about some music shit. Like, you know, like we're doing some real fucking shit. Like give us some fucking credit for this and give yourselves like a fucking pat on the back or whatever you want to do. Like go have yourself a nice Pornhub session like after this and be like, yo, I fucking deserve this.
Oh my god.
And just put saran wrap on your laptop screen just in case.
Yeah.
But like all I'm saying is like you know, don't waste this time, man. Like it could be very precious if you use it the right way, because like all of us, dude, like seriously, you know, you guys are on the right track, like connecting with people. There needs to be more of this. I encourage people who are doing podcasts to connect with others this way, because you're never going to get the attention of creators that are just stuck in their lab. You know what I mean? Like, and some of us like are just constantly creating, like just constantly, like we're just fucking going, right? And we need a fucking break to like get the shit off of our chest. Like this for me, like Jesse was saying, this it's therapeutic, man. Like I'm actually like working out some of my thoughts. Like I'm actually taking notes while we're talking. And Aaron said something random. I won't show you the drawing because it's terrible, but like you said something about like how you felt like your face was like up here and then all the way down to your feet. Like I have this big ass face and like the feet are just like underneath the face and like the hands are just like this. You know, so I'm just like I'm taking notes from all these kinds of calls that I'm having. Like and I'll tell you a fun project that I'm working on, and you guys can participate if you like in this also. But like um COVID-19 art or COVID-19 signs. If you're walking around town, you're going to a grocery store, or you're going anywhere, I want you to notice one thing. The signage at every place you go to that says social distancing in process, 6 feet away, wear your mask, government ordinance, or whatever. Everywhere I go, dude, it's always a fucking different sign, which is fucking crazy. That means that like there's a fucking designer for each of these stores or like whatever. And so I'm taking pictures of this, and everyone's like, why the fuck is he taking a picture of like a wear your mask sign? And I've like created like this Apple album of like COVID-19 signs. And like I don't know if I'm gonna print them, or I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with it. But like really, the social distance show, I'm like bringing it all back because we have like 6 more minutes left, right? I've compiled all of these signs from everywhere that I've gone, and we're creating like the flyer for our podcast is like not a rip, but like definitely inspired by COVID-19. Like if you see the flyer, you'll see like, you know, it's the Do Not Talk About the Method Makers logo, which is this. By the way,
Scoop. This is dope. The inside vision to the lab.
So I don't know if you can see that. Do Not Talk About the Method Makers. This is designed by Alfredo Monster. It's like a rip. It's we call it a rip. That sounds fucked up, but it's paying homage to Fight Club and Chuck Paul Newick. And it's like, you know, this is actually inspired by the first secret show that we did in San Francisco when we ran our gallery for the first year. We said because it was in this really this hotel that would not allow us to have more than 15 people at a time in the gallery. We had to find a way to get enough people in the gallery to see all the work, but 15 people at a time. So we created this experience where we wouldn't tell anybody where the gallery was. We would sell tickets on brown paper bag tickets or whatever site, Eventbrite or whatever. And like you'd buy a ticket, you'd meet at like some undisclosed location, like a parking lot down the street. And I'd take you to this fucking gutty, like guttery, like fucking random spot. Like it's basically, it was in the financial district, but like there's this alleyway where this Irish bank restaurant is. It's like dumpsters and homeless people and shit. And then like I had the back door open. This building was built in 1906, so it's got like a boiler room in the bottom, and they have like all the laundry and like, you know, all of the immigrant workers there like doing laundry and shit. And like you're walking in and it's nighttime, right? And like no one knows who the fuck I am. I'm like, all right, like I'm holding up a sign that has this sticker on it. It says, do not talk about the method makers. Hey, you're in the right place, right? You go into this fucking underground thing and like there's all this fucking steam coming out and like Mexican ladies speaking Spanish and looking at me like, why the fuck are you taking people in here? You know, and like people are getting scared, like, what the fuck? And then you go through this elevator shaft, and it's literally like one of those ones with a gate that you have to pull open and then it closes, you push a button, and then it takes forever to fucking go up. And then you get into the gallery, and it's like, oh shit, you got like Gats, Ernest Doty, Dead Eyes, you know, like all these fucking amazing Bay Area artists. And on top of that, in the hotel, every single one of these rooms is curated by, at the time, they weren't anybody, but like Shepard Fairey has a room there. Sam Flores has a room there. Buff Monster has a room there. Like all these like now well-known artists have a room in this hotel where you open up the door and like it's a fucking mural of one of these artists. It's like the fucking hidden gem of San Francisco. Anyway, that's where this sticker came from. And what the fuck was my point? I don't even know what my fucking point was.
Well, the social distance show, right? You're trying to.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, so the flyer for this is inspired by COVID-19 art, and in fact, if I can share my screen, Makers Podcast, I can show you real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna be hyping you up today, especially when the video gets up to YouTube.
Yo,
and stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
The host needs to allow me to participate in screen sharing.
Oh.
In settings, if you can.
What do I do? Make host?
Or... I think in the settings or like in the meeting, allow. Oh, you made me the host. Okay, that's fine. I could do that too. I think I could share now. Okay, here we go. So to give you an example, oops, that's not it.
Glad you didn't have all the Pornhub tabs on.
I know. It's like, whoo! Thank God.
Practice what I preach, man.
I forgot the saran wrap. Hold on, guys. Okay, so yeah, so this is just like an example. Like, this is one of a few different flyers. Like, if you see the album of all the fucking COVID-19 signage I've taken pictures of, it's totally fucking random, but it's beautiful because like there's actually creativity in fucking like wash your hands and wear your mask signage, you know? And what's culminated is like our little squirt bottle of sanitizer and, you know, wearing your mask. And the beautiful thing about the show is like everybody as like a play on this social distance thing is wearing a mask in each of the videos, and Jesse's seen every single one of them. So so you see the videos, like everyone's wearing a mask, whether it's like a mask of a cat or like a surgical mask. You're wearing something. So it also helps like with the anonymity of some of these artists too, and even the ones that aren't anonymous, like they're also wearing masks. So it's dope. And the schedule's here. It's dropping every Wednesday, and yeah, follow us on follow us on the Method Makers podcast, on everything else that we do, in the Method Makers Mobile, brought to you by Chrysler, and buy our wine and our water and all the Method Maker products.
Hell yeah. This is awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing all this stuff. I'm definitely gonna be sharing this stuff later today too.
Yeah, this is an epic episode, Neal. Thank you for all the wisdom. I'm serious. You really were like you really stole the show with this one. So I'm glad
yeah,
I was glad you guys were just talking so much. I was like, I'm kind of tired this morning anyway.
Yeah, man. No, this is dope, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time, and you know, any way that I could help, let's connect over email, man, and let's get all like our digits and like any of the creative shit that you guys want to talk about. Like, you know, if you want to do a follow-up meeting, I'd love to like talk about basically every creative project I look at like a case study. So like we're really like deeply documenting how we do all these things. Like Design Lab itself is a case study. The shit we're doing with Ecos is a case study. Like Method Maker's music itself could be a case study for, you know, how do we bring resources in? How do we like make sure that it like we fundamentally are doing the right thing and measuring it the right way, spending the right time, and you know, watching the right porn and getting the right lotion. So
Work the right brands, man.
hey, all I'm saying is
Method Maker's lotion, baby.
Method Maker's lotion, baby. Method Maker's saran wrap. You can spray paint on it. You can protect